What's up, guys? This is Bradley. I wanted to tell you about a company that I really like, ePayPolicy. They completely saved my tail on a case last week. As many of you know, I started my independent insurance agency with a lot of questions, concerns. I didn't know what I didn't know, and that proved true when I wrote my first agency-build homeowners policy. I write this policy, and the client tells me, all right, let me pay you with a credit card. I'm like, how do I take a credit card payment? And guess what, guys? Square and PayPal, it's against their terms of service for you to use it for an insurance premium. God forbid somebody pay you and then you end up not getting that payment. So in came ePayPolicy. They completely saved the day for me, got me signed up within 24 hours. They provide the simplest solution for your agency to collect credit card and ACH payments while finally putting a stop to chasing those paper checks around. I don't want to be in the collection business. I want to be in the insurance business. With ePayPolicy, you pass the processing fees on to the client, keeping your bottom line intact while providing an added convenience to your clients of accepting digital payments. The page that you send the client for them to make the payment is branded and tailored to your agency. Mine has my logo. And when it comes to reconcile, their accounting dashboard keeps the process clean and simple, and they integrate with all the major management systems, including mine, at no extra cost. Look, they know how busy you and your clients are. They provide the simplest solution for your agency to collect credit card and ACH payments while finally putting a stop to chasing paper checks. There's no contract, no setup fee, and no hidden costs. It takes less than 5 minutes to sign up, and they'll have you up and collecting digital payments within 24 hours like they did for me. Give ePayPolicy a call or hit them up online at ePayPolicy.com and let them know that the insurance guys sent you.
Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys Podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Saraland, Alabama. Parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
Great, Scott. How are you?
Best I've ever been. Beautiful day here in Huntsville, Alabama. We have coronavirus and pollen just wafting through the air. I was going to go on a little bit of a walk a few minutes ago. That got cut short because I am desperately trying to work with both my lender and my accounting firm to correctly get one of these PPP loans. What do you think, Bradley? You going for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Being kind of quiet here. You already got everything put together?
Yep, I do. Been working on that slowly over the week. So,
guys, we have got a very, very special episode for you today. I have a guy that I do not know very well. Bradley does. From all indications, from all of the people that I know in the industry, they are doing backflips, somersaults, and putting their underwear on their head and running around their house after they use this man's product, his technology that he has come up with. Some of the biggest and the best agents in the country have been turned on to him, and I am proud to have him on the show. As I always say, we have a responsibility to you agents to put fantastic insurance agents on the show and teach you what they're doing. We have another responsibility to tell you about the latest, greatest technology that is out there. And this guy is on the cutting edge, and I'm blessed and honored to have him on the show today. So without further ado, he is born and raised in Burlington, Massachusetts. He is married to the beautiful Megan, and he is a graduate of Bentley University. He is the CEO of Tarmika, a commercial lines rater and the official rater of the brand spanking new Neon agency management system that will be coming out momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my profound honor to introduce to you first-time guest on the Insurance Guys podcast, and I'm sure it will not be his last, Mr. Raghav Tanna. How are you, Raghav?
I'm doing well, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you so much for being here today. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to Bradley. I know I'm sorry if I was a little bit terse before we got on the podcast today, but I've got so much information I want to cover with you. and you and Bradley were like two girls in a sewing circle talking to each other. And I was like, I'm burning time here, guys. I'm burning time. I've got 250,000 agents that want to hear the same things that you and Bradley were talking about today. But before we do that, get in the passenger seat of my DeLorean, go back in time and tell our audience, tell our agents how you got into the insurance business and bring us up to the day.
I have been in the insurance business since I was 6. My dad started his agency back in 2000. So he started it out of our basement in Burlington, Massachusetts, and grew his agency for the last 20 years. When I graduated from Bentley, went over, worked at Travelers for a couple of years on the underwriting side, all commercial, did some financial work for them, and then left and started writing my own business with my dad's agency for about 3 years. Got a little tired of it, and that's when Tarmika started.
What gave you the idea?
So I had an account. It was a pretty decent sized account. It was about $50,000 in premium. And I went in and I quoted it with 3 carriers, and I won't name the 3. And all 3, I had to go through the entire quoting process, upload 40 different workers' comp codes. And then when I got to the end and pressed submit, they declined it. Didn't say why they declined it. They just declined it. And I got really pissed off, and I said, all right, I'm done with this. I'm going to go find a company that can compare this for me. I couldn't find one.
I've got so many questions, I don't even know where to start. My friend and great American, Mr. Grant Cardone, always says, start the talk about money up front. Just go ahead and get it out of the way. So that's what all these agents will be sitting here thinking about during this podcast is, what's this going to cost me? How much does it cost an agent, principal agent, to utilize? I will probably brutalize the name, but Tarmika. How much will it cost them?
To use Tarmika, it's $300 a month for an agent for their first 3 user licenses, and that's based off of how many users they have on top of that. But we try to keep it relatively cheap for the agency.
Got you. And tell our audience, so the people that I know that have used your rater have just been blown away by it. Tell everybody out there right now, commercial rater, and of course we've got some breaking news to tell everybody about today as well. But tell everybody what makes you guys different. Why are agents that are using this like, my God, how have I not had this for my entire life?
Everyone that works for our company came from the insurance market. I was an agent. Our COO worked at Liberty Mutual.
Right.
Our director of sales, he worked at a carrier as well and an agency. So when you build something the way that you want to use it, I mean, I'm like every other agent out there. I wanted things to be easy, so we built it the way that I would want to use it. I think that's what makes it so different. Otherwise, you're just building something that you assume people want to use, and you build it your way as the technical minds would. We built it with the agent in mind and not the technology in mind.
And a lot of technology, I think they make that mistake. And you can tell from an agent's perspective, at least I can tell which programs and which vendors were created by agents or former agents and which ones weren't. You know, I think it was Seth that we were talking to in a prior episode about, you know, a lot of the InsurTech stuff is great in theory, but when it comes to actually using it, it's not really agent centric. And if you're going to have your clients that, you know, be agents, it's got to be agent centric.
I completely agree. I think InsurTechs are great for the innovation behind it, but then you need someone else to come in and say, all right, we'll take that innovation and we'll build it for agents now.
Yeah.
Hey, Bradley, have you used this program? Have you used Tarmika yet?
I haven't used it. I've seen it. It's incredibly impressive. I'll tell you guys listening to this that if probably, you know, if you've been around the block, you've been through 2 or 3 raters, possibly 2 or 3 management systems, and it always starts out very promising, but then you realize where the warts are. And I don't think there are any warts with Tarmika. I had a question. How do you even go about starting to create a commercial rater, a product that essentially doesn't exist, right?
I think I was pretty fortunate, and I always say I was lucky, and Seth tells me that luck doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. But I say I'm pretty lucky because my dad wrote 75% commercial business. When I was at his agency, I wrote 94% commercial business. So everything for me was about writing commercial. And I went to him and I said, hey, here's my idea. Can you help me build this? And he said, I have no idea what to do with the technology, but I can get you the right carrier contacts to start this out. And we went to 15, 20 carriers, and I said, how would you do it? Mm-hmm. If you were me, how would you do this? Mm-hmm. And you'd be amazed if you ask a carrier how to help an agent. They have some awesome ideas and they want to help. They just don't have the wherewithal to do it, or they don't have the backing from the carrier to do it. But the individuals at each carrier want to help.
Right.
And that's how we started. I talked to 10 to 15 carriers, got all their ideas, wrote it on paper. And then I met our COO, and she had the technological expertise on how to actually do the integrations.
Raghav, talk to me a little bit about a couple things I have questions about that I'm just thinking like all these other agents are right now. So let's say I get the program, the Raider, and I want to start using it. What carriers are going to be listed on there? And there may be too many to mention. I don't know, but I want to ask that question. And then as a separate question, how does that Raider integrate with different management systems that are out there?
Yeah, so there are a lot of carriers, so I'm not going to go through all of them. I mean, we work with a lot of the nationals like the Liberty Mutuals of the world, the Chubbs, the CNAs, but we also work with a lot of regional companies. That's kind of where we differentiate. Our agencies, when I was an agent, my biggest carrier was a regional, so I know that agents love working with their regional companies, and that's why we partner with them.
Right.
So if you're an agent, if you do a demo, we probably have 3 or 4 of your carriers, if not 10. On the agency management side, we're in conversations with a lot, and we haven't actually done an integration with any agency management system yet. What we have done is we've started an integration with Accord. So you can upload Accord apps to our system. It'll pre-fill the entire application, and once you submit it, it gets you your quotes back. You can also download Accord apps at the end of the quoting process. It's essentially an integration with a management system because you can pull Accord apps from an AMS into our system, get your quotes back. But we haven't been able to integrate with the management system just yet.
So when we get off this podcast, I'm obviously going to probably look into signing up with you guys because we've got a personal lines rater. We don't have a commercial. Are you the only commercial rater out there?
No. There's other ones out there. There's ones that do a great job.
Yeah.
I just think, when you have the agency mindset in mind, that's where we're a little different.
Right. Do you guys have training? I mean, I guess there's demos and things like that I know on your website.
Yeah. What we do is you schedule a demo online or just give us a call. We'll do a demo. And then once you're going through the process of onboarding, we have a customer success rep that'll contact you and help you onboard yourself, train all your users, all your agents, no matter how many locations you have. And usually onboarding takes 24 hours and the training takes 24 hours. You're up and running within 2 days.
From a marketing, you guys have for your agents, and this is one of the things I really, really like from a marketing lead generation standpoint, you guys have some ability or the ability for the agent to essentially go direct to consumer for commercial, correct?
Yeah. So this is, when we started this was always the intent. You can take our entire product white labeled. It's a little bit different on the flow, but it's branded towards your agency. So if Portal Insurance called us tomorrow and said, hey, I got to put Tarmika on my website, it looks like Portal Insurance's website. They click create a quote. The end consumer enters in their name, their address, all the underwriting information that's required, presses submit, and Bradley gets pinged saying, hey, this pizza shop down the street just quoted in Portal Insurance. You should probably reach out to them and send them their proposals. They're in Tarmika. So everything is done for him. The entire quote is done for him, but he just needs to reach back out, check the coverages, give his expertise, because direct to consumer is great for ease of use, but there's no expertise behind it.
Right.
This adds that expertise element, and that's why we do it.
And that's the difference between Tarmika Bridge and Tarmika. Is it Tarmika X?
Yep, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference between the two is if you want a white label, put something on your website that allows the consumer to type in the quote, they can do that.
Absolutely.
And to add some clarification, this is not, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is not filling out information and then bridging to a carrier quote to finish the quote. This is a direct API integration. What percentage of the deal from start to finish is done in Tarmika?
100%.
That's what I want to get across to our audience. This is not your rater where you get an estimate or an easy quote or whatever, and it's a range. This is an accurate quote. You don't have to bridge to the carrier. Every single thing you do is done in Tarmika. And if you don't think that's a good thing, stop listening to the podcast right now, because you need to go back to episode 1. Am I right?
That's probably the most important part to get across to all our users is when you finish a quote in our system, you're done. The only way you're not done is if you want to go to that carrier and say, hey, I know Liberty Mutual offers, some random coverage that I probably don't even know, and they can go ahead and add it. That's the only way you're not done.
So once you finish the quote and hit submit as the agent, okay, we're talking about Tarmika Bridge right now. Once you hit submit, that's going directly to the carrier, and how fast is that coming back to you as a quote?
So it depends on the carrier's APIs. Our range right now is 5 seconds is the shortest for it to come back, and the longest right now is 29 seconds. So 29 is obviously those are the ones we work on. At one point we were at 15 seconds to a minute, and now we're down to 5 to 29. The goal is to get everything under 20.
Does that get your attention, Scott?
What if this is like a $200,000 account?
It's all about sending information and getting information back. So everything's done on JSON code. No matter what, it could be $500 or $80,000. It's just one API call.
I'm blown away right now. I can't even talk. But like with some carriers, they hit a limit. They want to have an underwriter look at that. Like they want somebody to put hands on that.
Yeah. Oh no. So it'll tell you in our system, hey, it's bindable.
Right.
It's acceptable. You can go ahead and bind coverage. It'll say this is referred to the underwriter, and we have a button that you can refer to the underwriter directly from our system.
Okay.
And the third one is it's declined. Hey, we don't want to write this. It could be because the building value is $40 million, and they can't handle that.
Right.
Some carriers in our system go up to $70,000 in premium. Others only go up to $25,000. It really depends on the carrier.
And there's obviously there's certain risks that obviously you have to go to underwriter for, but at the same time, there's no reason why a simple BOP or a GL or an E&O policy or a cyber policy, there's no reason why. If you're out there writing GL policies or BOPs and you're having to wait on an underwriter, and it's especially if it's like a mom and pop type business, I mean, you're partnering with the wrong folks.
Yeah, that's going to get green lighted.
Yeah, so that's. I think that certainly the world of commercial insurance is going towards the way of Tarmika and companies like that. But at the same time, I mean, there's always going to be a place for an underwriter, especially with the larger risk, don't you think? Yeah,
I mean, even for the smaller risks, I think if there's any hair on an account or enough hair on an account, you need an underwriter. And it's funny, we've seen contractors coming through our system for a while now. Most contractors aren't bindable. I mean, the small ones are, but if you get over, 5,000-6,000 in premium, it's almost always a referral.
Right.
And it should be.
Absolutely. Hey, Raghav, I want to give these people some breaking news today. This is like Drudge Report or CNN or Fox News. I want you to tell all of our 250,000 listeners today what the breaking news is right now with you guys that you told us about before we got on air.
Yep. So huge news for us, and we thought it was going to be delayed, but it's not. We will have personal lines going live in June of 2020. So I know that makes Bradley really happy.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
Guys, I'm not going to tell you who the carriers are because certainly there's some loose ends to tie up there. But I can tell you that from what he told me about some of the carriers that will be a part of that initial personal lines rater, it's companies you know.
So Raghav called me. We had 2 phone calls, I think. And I was impressed with the product, obviously was impressed with him. But, our agency is at the time really weren't doing a lot of commercial. We've since really picked that up. But it was something that I was like, yeah, it's cool, but I don't know, maybe I use it, this, that, and the other. And the third time he called me, he said, hey, we've got personal lines now. All of a sudden, he had my attention. So and we're obviously not, we're not a personal lines only agency, but we're not a commercial lines only agency. We do a lot of personal lines. So guys, just trust us on this. There's nothing like this out there.
Yeah.
I've demoed all the raters. I've been a client of several of them. There's nothing like this out there. I promise you.
I appreciate that.
I'm excited.
What?
So I want to go back to the Tarmika X that we talked about, because there was some of that I didn't understand. That would allow you to put your program on an agent's website. I assume there's a little bit of a cost difference there too, obviously. But am I right about that or no?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of a cost difference. Again, we try to keep the cost for agencies relatively low.
Right.
But yeah, we can go on any agency website and you click create a quote and you're brought into a new page and you can quote directly online as an end consumer.
And the cost, there's going to be a lot of agents that don't want consumers to quote. What are your thoughts on that, Bradley?
As far as
allowing consumers to quote their own insurance off your website.
If you don't want to, Rog, is there a way to, I completely understand the side of an agent not wanting someone to get to the rate. Is there a way to keep them from getting to the rate if that's what the agent wants? Because I think if you're against direct to consumer, however if people feel about that, and certainly everybody knows how Scott feels about that, but I think you need to have some sort of lead grabbing system on your website, whatever that is. And I don't think there's going to be anything as slick and easy to use from a consumer standpoint as Tarmika. But is there any way to do that for those agents?
Yeah. And so most people use gravity forms today to collect this data, but those gravity forms go into your email. It's not really an efficient means. That's triplicate entry. It doesn't really make sense. So you don't need to show the rate. And actually, we prefer they don't show the rate because we want that agency expertise on the back end before they release a quote. Right. So what happens is they enter in all the data. At the end, it says, hey, your quote's been submitted. Bradley's going to reach out to you in the next hour. And you'll have a quote proposal for them within an hour. I don't know any agency that uses gravity forms that's getting a quote proposal out within the hour.
Yeah.
So
another cool thing about that too, they fill out their own stuff. They get a quote. There ain't going to be no calling me when something happens and it's not covered. What do you mean my deductible's $5,000? Well, some bitch, you're the one that chose it. Don't call me. That's hilarious.
Talk about the process, the arm twisting, the headlocks that you went through of getting some of these carriers to open up their APIs to you guys, because everybody knows how much of a challenge that is.
So you got to go at it carriers are trying to help us. I think everyone knows that. As much as a lot of agents don't want to believe that carriers are on their side, they are. The way we went into all these conversations was, hey, we need you more than you need me. I'm just a tech company, but I want to help these agents. Here's how I plan on doing it. And yeah, it was a lot of back and forth. And once you send a carrier a contract, it could take 3 to 4 months before they sign it. But I think it's worth it. The end goal was always worth it for me. So that's why we go through this process. And, it's funny. I've been on the phone since this whole quarantine started. I'm on the phone, 10 hours a day talking to carriers that some of them I've never heard of, because we're finally getting to a point now where we passed that chicken and egg phase where to get carriers you needed agencies, to get agencies you need carriers. Now we're at a point where we can finally open this up to as many carriers and agents as we want and say, hey, here's how you can be more efficient, more profitable, increase your margins. And it works both ways. It's not just the agent that's increasing margins, it's the carrier too.
Yeah. Talk about, let's say that I'm an agent and I'm in Des Moines, Iowa, or Charleston, South Carolina, or small town somewhere in America. And I have, like my agency personally, Bradley's agency, I have 5 to 8 regional carriers that are really solid, that are not even on your radar. What would the process be like, to get you guys introduced to them, to start a conversation? What's the process like on the back end? And what are the chances that we get that carrier to strike a deal?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So everything's done via email, right? So you make one email intro to me, to someone on our team. We have a call with that carrier. We go through, a lot of these regional carriers don't have APIs yet. And if they do, they might not be perfect just yet. So when we start working with a carrier, the first thing we tell them is we can either develop your API for you, we can co-develop an API with you, or if you have an API, we'll just integrate. And we've built 4 or 5 APIs for carriers. We've co-developed a couple. We've provided our design to a bunch. So there are 50 different ways to work with us, and we want to help the carrier get to a point where they can make your life easier. So that's what we do.
I tell you what scares me, man, is you're going to have these bigger, well-known carriers start doing this stuff, opening their APIs, things like that. And you're going to have some good carriers that refuse to do that are going to get left in the dust. And
I hope that doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't either, but it scares me because, I mean, it's, once this starts getting to a mass adoption phase, which if everything that's happening with Neon and you guys and kind of this open API movement happens, I mean, you're going to have some carriers that hold out and it's not going to be good for anybody, the carrier, the agent, or the client.
Yeah, I think there's a critical mass within every agency where they realize, hey, I'm entering this once, getting 6 quotes back or 6 carriers that work with it. I have this one that's not working with it. It gets to a point finally where they're like, I'm not going to keep going into that carrier anymore.
Or even like they're subconsciously doing it. Like if there's any carriers listening to this, I mean, ease of doing business means so much to your agents on the agent side. Like the ease of me as the agent, getting the rate, submitting the application, taking the payment. Ease of doing business means way more than even the agents know. We have found in my agency, and I track everything, we tend to lean towards the carriers that are easy to deal with without actually physically audibly speaking about it. And so the more easy you can make it for your agents to do business, the better it's going to be.
It's always path of least resistance.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's we're dealing with that now with one of our carriers that has a pretty good rate, but the process is kind of clunky. The underwriters are not friendly, and I don't like the way they do business. So we're slowly moving away from it,
Hey, Raghav, next time you talk to a carrier and they don't want to open up their API, I want you to tell them this story. So Blockbuster CEO, Netflix comes on the scene. They're a small, tiny startup. Blockbuster's CEO goes to the board of directors. He says, guys, listen to me. Listen to me. We have got to start streaming services like right now. The board of directors for Blockbuster said not just no, but hell no, because 12% of their revenue was coming from late fees. People not bringing back their VHS tapes. It's where we are, guys.
I appreciate that analogy. Anyone that calls us Netflix is fine by my books, but no, it's true. I think carriers are starting to see what this could be for agents and how easy they can make their agents' lives. And Neon's a huge example of it. Seth saw it, and he saw it before anyone else, that they were losing money on quoting.
Right.
He was losing a lot of money on quoting within Zing. And when he saw it, that's when he started looking for something like this. And thank God I met him, because we've been cruising ever since.
So tell our audience before we get off the podcast here, where do they go? How do they sign up? What do they need to do to get in touch with you and your team to be a part of this movement, if you will?
Yeah, so we always send everyone to the website, so www.tarmika.com, Tarmika. And at the top right of the screen, you book a demo. Anytime, you'll get directed towards sales rep. The sales rep will complete the demo, give you the pricing, send you an agreement if you want to sign up, and then we'll teach you how to onboard and train yourself. Pretty quick process.
And after the training and, everything that goes on with that, are the agents going to go straight to Tarmika.com to do everything in terms of starting to use it, or how does that work?
Yeah, we send them a link to the agency portal. It can be accessed from our website, or they can just save the link at the top right like they would with a carrier, and they can start going.
All I know is this. I'm going to throw some names. I'm going to name drop for everybody. The Bradley Flowers, the Ryan Hanleys, the Jason Casses, the Chris Paradisos, all those guys, you mentioned the word Tarmika, and they're like, never seen anything like it. Greatest thing in the world. You got to do it. You got to use it. So, man, I just want to congratulate you for developing and building something that it sounds like is going to be the next big thing in the insurance business.
I appreciate that. I really do.
Means a lot. And hey, Bradley, you got anything before I close this bad boy out today?
Nope, we're good.
Hey, guys, listen to me. Listen to me. Bradley and I don't ask for much. Before I get off this I always forget to do this, Bradley. Before I get off this podcast today, I want everybody, if you listen to the podcast, like and subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to it. Tell your friends about it. If you don't like the podcast, if you hate our podcast, make sure you leave us a note or a message about that as well. You may very well catch me in a spiral in depression, and I may end it all after I read your comment, but that's okay. Go ahead and like the podcast, subscribe to our podcast. We love all of you very much. And Raghav, I cannot wait to spend some time with you and get to know you and your team. I look forward to signing up. We're in a transition to independent right now, and I can promise you we will be part of your group that uses this to start with, and I'm excited about that. So, guys, as I always talk about, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get your ass out from behind that desk. Stop running TPS reports. Stop looking at scorecard bonuses. Get out there and meet people, build relationships, make money for your family, for your wife, for your kids, for your parents that are struggling. Write good business for the companies that you represent, and write good business for the agencies that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Thanks, man.
Guys, you are listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love you too, and we'll see you back here real soon. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Insurance Guys podcast. If you need to know more about me or you need to get in touch with Scott, you can always reach me at theinsuranceguyonline.com or email me at iprotectins@gmail.com. And if you need to get in touch with Mr. Bradley Flowers, go to bradleyflowersinsurance.com or email him at bradley@saralandinsurance.com. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for listening. We look forward to being with you again real soon on the next episode of The Insurance Guys. Take care.